Hey guys, Paul McLean here, and I've got a special treat for you. I've been in this office for now, I've been doing this thing for 14 years. And I've repeatedly walked by Daniel's office and heard him on the phone. I'm like, dude, he's so good with like what he says, how he says it, and also understanding why he says what he says. And you could just tell, because when you communicate on the phones, it's not just what you say, it's what they hear. And a lot of times what they hear is derived from why you're actually saying the word you're saying it, because that invokes the tone, the speed, the pitch, right? And he's just killing it. So I sat and I was like, man, I got to get him on and really break this down, because I think this is going to serve you very well. We always say 80% of the phones, or do you say 80% of his business is the phones. Like if you could just get good on the phones, I mean, it's pretty simple. You just go out there, you sit with clients, you serve them, put them first. They've already, I mean, who asked you to come to their house if they're not interested? Who fills out a form if they're not interested? Now you're at their house. It's not that deep, but the phones is so important. And so guys, today we're going to go through everything. We're going to break it down. So hopefully my intro gave you enough time to grab a pen and a piece of paper, or maybe you grab an iPad and you can type, but take some notes. We're going to break down the psychology behind the phones. We're going to talk about phone script. We'll do some role play. We're going to do some objection handling. And trust me, I don't know a lot of things, but I've heard a ton of people, Daniel, coming to the office. Some, man, they're, so nervous like I was when the person picks up the phone. They just stutter and then they hang up the phone. Yeah. And then, and that's a process a lot of times to get good, because you weren't like that day one, but you've just been diligent, man. You showed up to the office. In fact, remember when you started coming to the office in Hesperia downstairs? Yeah. Dude, how many people were down there when you were down there when you first got there?
I think when I first got there, I mean,
in the morning.
Yeah, there wasn't a ton of people there in the
morning.
There was
no one.
Yeah, there was like pretty much no one. I think Ernest would be there sometimes.
Well, dude, like you'd always, but you were always there.
Yeah.
Like I'd go in the back, because that was back when we had the podcast room behind, right? And dude, you were always there, and you were there 7 a.m., 7:30. You were there first, and then you would be there like nonstop. You were so disciplined, which is pretty cool, man, because that gave me an opportunity to really get to know you. We would go grab something to eat and do like you've been somebody that just always was disciplined, always cared about serving people. We had great conversations about how much you just really enjoy serving people and how you love people. And I mean, it was just, I got to know you pretty well. And so, by the way, if you're not going to an office, you should, because it gives you an opportunity to connect with people and build relationships. But dude, it's pretty exciting to see where you've come. Hall of Fame producer. Congratulations.
Thank you, man.
It's 400 families in a year. That's a big deal, man. Your first year. And think about it, dude. You sucked. Meaning relative. Like that's gonna be your worst year.
Yeah.
Like, how do you not get better, right? And but what I wanted to do real quick, before we get into this, is like, what did it look like in the beginning when you were calling these families? Was it kind of a struggle to book the appointments? What was the biggest struggle you had? Was it mindset? Was it just skill set? Because I know if you're anything like I didn't ever ask you this question, so I don't know your answer. But dude, it was really difficult for me in the beginning. Like I was not good at all. What did that look like for you, and how did you get past that?
Yeah, I think it was different for me, because I never did anything on the phone, right? Like the previous job that I came from, it was all face to face. So really just kind of, I guess, calling people and having to do the script and kind of figure out how I was going to book the appointment was really my struggle, was that confidence on the phone. So what really helped me, though, is when I stayed plugged into like Matt Smith's dialing training, or I would just be plugged into all the videos, and I would even have the video playing while I was dialing. So I'd be in the office. Like you said, nobody was really there. So I'd have Matt Smith on, or your old dial videos you had on, and then I would just kind of bounce off of that. And it was just the repetitiveness, I think. I think it was just getting through a lot of dials through the day, staying there and just dialing. Even, if I sucked in the beginning, because I did, I just kept dialing, and then that's how I think I got a lot better.
That's good, man. Yeah. That's a massive tip. So if somebody's dialing, do you suggest like them have, even if it's on a TV, if it's their iPad, and in the background they can hear like somebody talking about phones and what to say and how to say it, that's issue pain, or they're helping a lot of families, is it good to have that in the background so you can kind of gauge the deviation? Okay, like I'm saying this way, they're saying it this way, I need to tweak this.
Yeah, I think what helped was the tonality, because I needed to figure if I was too high or too low. So when I heard those calls, with the trainings, and I knew that I was matching that tonality on the phone, and that really helped me. I think now, like where I've gotten to on the phones is I tell my agents the same thing, is your mind in the beginning needs to kind of be where, you know, in the right spot as far as we're calling another human being. You're not calling like some, you know, tiger or some gorilla or some crazy, that you're calling another human. And if we could understand how we operate as humans, and that, you know, the normal thing to do is object or deflect, and we know that that's just a normal thing, then it's real easy to kind of move to the next point that you need to get to. So, like, for example, man, I mean, like, I think, like, you know, when we're interested in buying a pair of shoes, for example, I think that's the best thing I could relate it to. You know, you want shoes, you know, you need them. If you walk into a shoe store in the mall, you know, so some sales guy's going to come up to you and say, hey, man, you know, can I help you with anything? Your first thing is going to be like, oh, I'm just looking, you know, because we just deflect. Even though we know we need, we want, or we're interested, we kind of come up with these things that kind of try to push people. So that's why I really got good at questions on the phone and objection handling, because I just knew it wasn't real. I knew they filled out the form. They wanted the help. They know they needed it. And I just had to kind of, you know, talk in such a way to where I can get them to, you know, book the appointment with me.
That's so good. Do you think that somebody, like an agent that's just getting started, or they're maybe dialing, booking appointments, calling these families, that when a client gives like a complaint, because I think you're right, it's like a knee-jerk reaction. It's not real, right? Like, you know, I always think about it, if I'm at the, you know, at Walmart buying toilet paper on the toilet paper aisle, somebody came up and was like, hey, you know, do you want me to help you buy some toilet paper today? I'd be like, no, dude, I'm just looking around. Like, dude, I'm not looking around. Like, I don't window shop toilet paper, but I would say that, right? Yeah. And so that just, and I love that point. That proves that it's just a knee-jerk reaction. It's just like almost a response by what's inherent or default, or what we've been conditioned to do. But do you think an agent that really struggles on the phone, that they take that response and they allow that to shift the perspective of the value and how the client really does need this? Like, they take it, instead of it as a complaint or knee-jerk reaction, they take it as that's just how they really are. Do you think that's kind of a big reason why most people probably struggle on the phones?
I think that's one of the big reasons. I think that, you know, when you hear someone say, you know, I already took care of it, or I'm not interested, or if they say something like that on the phone, I think agents, new agents especially, because I was there once, to where you kind of would take that and be like, okay, no problem, you know, and then just kind of let them off the phone. So I think it's not challenging the people enough on the phone to, you know, to get the appointment, which I think that is a struggle, you know. And I think that if we can realize, if we can kind of come to a belief that, you know, what they're saying isn't real, they did fill out the form, they do want our help, we just need to ask the right questions and, you know, position them in such a way to where we can get in front of them. So,
well, man, I think, you know, camping on this real quick before we go into like the actual phones and role play, like the mindset part of it, I think this is such a big part. You know, I see, Daniel, a lot of the struggle an agent has when they call me up and they say, man, I'm not booking the amount of appointments I should be booking, or what have you, that they have kind of almost convinced themselves that the lead isn't any good, right? Or that this lead type just doesn't work out that well. And they're almost just like convincing themselves of something, and then they say things as far as pitch or tone or speed. They're almost like doing it in such a way that's causing them to validate the verdict they've come to, which is this lead is just blank, not good, or I don't book enough, or this and that. Did you have any of that in the beginning? And then how did you combat that? Because I think when agents can overcome that, their booking ratio goes through the roof, because it's such a mental thing. You know, did you ever have that kind of struggle, or you had a sequence of a bunch of hang-ups or objections or no books, and you kind of were almost thinking like, man, this just sucks, or this just like...
Yeah, it definitely starts to beat you down, you know, like in the beginning as a new agent, when I would get objections, or I wouldn't book any appointments, and I got, you know, I think everybody gets in that thing where you want to blame something. Accountability is a big deal, right? And when you can do that, that's when everything gets better. And I think that I did in the beginning kind of find ways to blame the people or the leads, or hey, they don't want this, or, you know, that voice that we have in our head, and everybody goes through it. But I think, man, the opportunity is just too good here. You know, I think if you could really convince yourself every day the opportunity we have in the life insurance industry and what we're able to do and the families we're able to protect, I think that will push that extra, you know, that extra 2-3 hours of dialing to make sure we do land a couple appointments. And if we dial till 9 and we only have 4, well, then that's what it is. But at least we have those 4 families to go out and see tomorrow.
That's phenomenal. Yeah. So let's move on. But just to kind of recap the mindset part, that what Daniel said is have some training in the background, because I think that helps with not having a head fake where, you know, sometimes, like, I used to think I was saying it just like the person that was helping all the families was saying it. You know, then I listened to myself in a recording because Sean's like, dude, why don't you record yourself? So I recorded myself and I listened to it back, and I was like, dude, I had no idea I said it like that, and I said it with that tonality, and I didn't know, I forgot all that, I wasn't saying it, but we'll convince ourselves of that. But I think if it's plain and it's like right there in the background, it's so much easier to kind of understand how far off we are and how we're really not saying it.
Exactly.
And I think that's a big, big point. And then the other point is understanding, like you said, man, like what we have is so unbelievable. What these families sent in the form, this is one of the most valuable services that they could ever get, and that you're called to help them. Like, think about this. Like, thank God that we're providing something that changes lives. That's just a fact. Like, everybody's gonna die, and when they do, like I love what Sean said. He's like, man, we have helped. He's like, the number that meant the most to me is like when America talked about how much like protection we've put in place, and dude, over like the next decades, there's going to be clients that pass away all across the country. And because of you, Daniel, and because of you, all these agents that work with FFL, their family's going to be provided for. So when you're calling this lead, if you really remind yourself of that, like you said, like how great that is, then you're not going to buy into this different version of the value of what you're offering and how the client should see it, right? You're not going to say, well, it's not that important because the client's not interested. Oh, wait, maybe it's not that important. Maybe I'm bugging them because they said they already got it. No. That's not the case. That's the truth is it's invaluable to them, but it's just a knee-jerk reaction. So you keep your mind right, and you don't screw up the rest of the results, or that you're going to get from these other leads based off of the first sequence that you had in the beginning. I think that's such a big deal. Let's talk about like activity-wise. Like when's a good time to start making your first phone call? Like what time should somebody start dialing?
I mean, I think the 8 to 10 hour. From 8 to 10 is really good hours. To make sure you make your first dial by 8. Those 2 hours, I don't know, they're like really good hours to be on the phone dialing. People had their coffee, they're already in a better mood, and they're already kind of woken up. And I don't know, I find that that's kind of like a sweet hour. And then also like even from 5 to 9, I mean, I never really in the beginning dialed late. I think I would dial till like 4, 5, and then I'd call it a day. And changing that made such a big difference. And I think that if I wouldn't have changed that last year, I wouldn't have hit Hall of Fame, is dialing those extra hours, even when everybody was out of the office, so yeah. So
do you think like knowing that you're the last one in the office, that does anything for your self-confidence and self-esteem that probably allows you to book appointments you normally wouldn't book because of what level of confidence you have knowing that you're the last one here?
Yeah, I think it's because, you're working harder than everybody else. There could have been maybe 10 people that day dialing with you, and then everybody's gone. It's just you. The office is empty. And I think you do get a little kick from that. And you're like, hey, you know what? I'm giving up extra time at home, or, I could be doing this or doing that. But, I'm here, I'm doing this. So I think it does kind of up that confidence where you're like, man, I'm working harder than everyone else, and I'm going to land these appointments. So, yeah, it's definitely.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it like that, but it's almost like you build your deserve more. Like, I just deserve more. And so, because most agents on here, I mean, like, I'm telling you, like, I lacked so much confidence in the beginning, and I had all these reasons why. Like, I'm too young. I don't have enough experience. These families I was calling was 2006 that they didn't even have their house no more. How do you sell mortgage protection? I mean, all these different things that were going to cause me to go to failure. And one of the things that now that you say that, I look back, it's like I built a lot of confidence because of my work ethic. Like, I was showing up there early and I would stay late. It was a non-negotiable. And I think that's where I pulled my confidence from, that allowed me to kind of get those extra that I wouldn't have gotten. And in the beginning, if I didn't get those little extra families to protect, I don't think I'd be in business, And it's like that underlying thing that's not as easily seen, but like it's underlying that matters so much, like the deserve more, the confidence that comes from that extra mile. So do you have any non-negotiables on dial day? Like when it comes to hitting appointment goals or lead strategy, like any like things where you're like every week, this is a non-negotiable as far as when I start dialing, I gotta hit this amount, like anything like that that's really helped you put the blinders on and stay focused?
Non-negotiables. I mean, I would say just making sure I get on the phone on time. There's time, I'm still human. There's times that I I kind of wake up and I get somewhere late and I pay for it, that week. On my, as far as how many families I'm helping, it really does cause it to really get affected. So I would say, yeah, non-negotiables that I really try and hold on to is making sure that I'm just on the phone on time. making sure I'm getting those dials out. Also making sure you're doing enough dials. I think that new agents give up too easy. I think once you start to dial the phone, if you're not getting the result that you expect or want, then sometimes you kind of call it a day early. So I think a non-negotiable is just making sure that you have a goal. If it's 12 appointments, even if you're just starting out and you got a goal of 10, just really make sure that you hit that goal and just stay at the office until you hit it. Yeah.
So if it's 5 o'clock, you want to go home. Joy's like, I got some nice dinner. Yeah. I just cooked. Yeah, it's your favorite meal.
It's definitely happened, yeah.
But you're at 8 appointments, and your goal is to hit 15. Do you leave the office?
No, and I'll stay until 9, until people are telling, where you can tell it's 9 o'clock, you're calling people, and they're like, oh, why are you calling me? And then I'll kind of say, okay, well, I did everything I could. I think that, right there is like, I did everything I could today.
Yes.
To get the appointments I needed. And if I still came up short, then tomorrow I'll do dialing in between appointments. I'll door knock. I'll do what needs to be done. But say just do what you got to do,
Dude, I think a cold meal at 9 o'clock, knowing that you did everything you could, tastes better than the hot one where you're sitting there and you left with 7 appointments.
Yeah, and you still got a microwave, so there you go.
Exactly. But dude, I'm telling you, man, like I agree so much. I remember making those dials at like 9 o'clock, 9:05, 9:10, because I'm like, dude, I got one more to get, just one more. And I'm making those last dials, and it didn't matter what they said or didn't say. A lot of times I did book it, right? Because I got paid for going a little extra mile. And a lot of people after 9 that pick up the phone, most people pick up the phone after 9 anyways. Like the average of answering, like if we say like an answering ratio, it's so much higher, right? Because like people that call you after 9, they're usually not a telemarketer, and you're not. So they typically pick up the phone, right? It's like calling somebody at 7:30. They're not. It's usually not a telemarketer. It's too early, right? And so I think that's so good. Let's talk about phone scripts. So when we look at lead types, like have you worked just a vast variety of different leads as far as internet, mortgage? What lead types have you worked?
Last year, I really looked at all the leads that I worked because I knew that I hit Hall of Fame. And I would say about 95% of the business that I wrote last year was all instant internet leads or 3-month-old leads, just a lot of internet leads really, because I couldn't get my hand on a lot of mortgage in the beginning. So I was just working, what I had access to. I think I did a little bit of Facebook in the beginning, but really just stuck to kind of getting my hands on the quantity.
Okay.
Not really so much on the quality, I guess, right? Because you got the $20 Facebook leads. So I just stayed on getting as many leads as I could on dial day.
So do you use phone burner?
I don't use phone burner. Personally, I tried it. It wasn't for me. I just like dialing the phone. So I have 2 phones. So I'll dial one, and I'll dial the other one, and I'll mute the lines.
So you basically have created your own phone burner.
Yeah. Well, you taught me that because you had that. You used to dial 2 phones. So I started doing that, and I got used to it. So I got really used to just doing it that way. So where if it was working, I didn't want to change it. So if you're doing something that works.
Well, dude, you know what I think would be great? I was talking to Jeremiah about this. I said, because he said the same, I like dialing. So why don't you have one phone calling on phone burner, and then you call on the other phone? Like, think about how much more productive that. He's like, man, I'm going to do that. But yeah, when you have 2 phones and if somebody picks up, they both pick up, just hang up on one person and then call them back. Yeah. But your productivity just goes through the roof, man. Because like my goal was get my appointment goal done, and then I can move on to build. I could earn the right to now do recruiting efforts, build my business. But I had to hit my goal. But if I didn't hit my goal until 9 at night, well, now I was there at 9 o'clock at night and I didn't get to recruit, which means I got a longer process to eventually get out of the field because I haven't recruited, right? And so I think that's a good way to do it. Let's do a role play, man. So we're calling an instant internet life lead. You say ring, ring, I'll say hello, and let's go through, booking that appointment.
Okay. Ring, ring.
Hello, this is Paul.
Hey, Paul, this is Daniel. I'm one of the local underwriters here in San Bernardino County. I was just giving you a call regarding the request that you had filled out online for life insurance protection. I had your date of birth here as 0/8/6/1965. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, perfect. So, Paul, my job's real simple. I'm just the underwriter, so I just handle the medical part of things. Now, there is no physical exam, meaning no blood, no urine, no saliva. So my job's just to complete a visual and verify that you're not in a wheelchair, a hospital bed, on oxygen, and that you don't weigh like 1,000 pounds. That's not you, is it, Paul?
No.
Okay, perfect. So I also just to verify, I got your delivery address here is 1468 Rock Trail Road in San Bernardino. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so it looks like they got me dispatched out in your area the next couple of days. Are mornings or afternoons typically better for you?
I'd say probably morning.
Okay, morning. Okay, because I see you're here at your 71. So you're retired now?
Yeah.
Got it. So do you have any doctor's appointments coming up next couple days?
You know what? I think I have a checkup on like Thursday this week. Other than that,
On Thursdays.
wide open.
Okay, Thursdays, no worries. Those days I'm actually not in the field. So I have tomorrow or Wednesday. I could either do 10 a.m. or I could do 3 o'clock. What would work better?
10 a.m. would be a lot better.
10 a.m.?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I'll put you in for 10. Can you do me a favor, Paul?
Yeah.
Can you grab a pen and paper real quick so I can give you some information of mine?
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, so my name's Daniel.
Uh-huh.
My last name's Rosales. And my state license number, which also ties me to your file, is 407-6893.
Okay.
You got that?
Yep.
Can you read that back to me real quick?
Yeah, 417931.
It's 407-6893.
Got it.
Now, Paul, real quick before I let you off the line, are there any big dogs I'll see out front that might try to kill me when I get there? I'll be okay.
No dogs.
Got it. And you want me to just park off in the street or in the driveway?
Either way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't got any oil leaks, so if the driveway's open, I'll park there.
Okay.
But all right, Paul, I look forward to seeing you, on Wednesday at 9 o'clock. I'll see you then.
10 a.m., right?
10 a.m.
Yeah.
10
All right, 10 a.m.
Kind of lost there, but
that was good, man.
usually that's all.
Yeah.
That's all the call.
Now, it doesn't go like that all the time, right?
Absolutely not.
No. So I mean, that was kind of like the one where you're like, okay, that just flowed well, and it does happen.
And it does happen. It does happen. Yeah.
So give me like the most common objections that you get calling the instant internet life leads.
I'm not interested.
And when is that? Usually in the beginning?
Yeah. Usually
Okay.
when I call, they're like, oh, yeah, I'm not interested.
Okay, let's do that. So let's do another role play in the beginning, and I'll hit you with that. Right, go ahead and go ring.
Okay, ring.
Hello, this is Paul.
Hey, Paul. Oh, wait, sorry. Hey, Paul, this is Daniel. I'm the local field underwriter here in San Bernardino County. I was just getting back to you regarding the request you submitted online for life insurance protection. And I had your date of birth here as 4/22/1943.
Yeah, man, I'm not interested.
Got it. No worries, Paul. Now, no worries. I know you're not interested, but when you did fill it out online, what were you interested at that time? Were you just looking for information on what it would look like to take care of a burial? Or, were you just looking for just some general information on life insurance? Like, what were you thinking?
I don't know, man. I'm not really interested any longer.
No worries, I got it. I'm assuming you spoke to someone already regarding the pricing or something on the products you were looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. I'm actually not a captive agent, Paul, so that's exactly why I'm calling you. I'm just a local underwriter that's assigned to just get you all the different options that you can go over. So, just the guy that's just get you the information. So the reason of the call was just to verify the delivery address so that I can get this out to you.
Okay.
So I had the 16025 Kamina Road. Is that correct?
That's right.
Got it. So they have me in your area the next few days, getting this to a couple of your neighbors. I could either get it to you in the morning or the afternoon. What would be better for you?
I think afternoon would probably be better, man.
Afternoon?
You're just going to drop it off?
Yeah, so they have me just drop off the information and go over the programs. Now, what they do have me do, Paul, just because these plans are non-medical, is they have me just verify that, first of all, you are who you say you are, that you're not bedridden or on any oxygen, and that you're not in a wheelchair. So,
okay.
And then we'll go over a couple programs. If you have any questions for me, then I can answer them for you. But it usually takes about 10, 15 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Got it. So you go ahead and grab a pen and paper for me real quick. I have the 1 o'clock or the 3 p.m. What would work better in the afternoon?
1. So that's, and then it just goes on with the rest of the script,
yeah,
right?
I think with the non-interested things, I can kind of break that down a little more. I think that when they say that, I always agree, right? I think it's always going back to agreeing with what
Sure.
I can completely understand that. No worries, Paul. I completely get it. And then I'll ask another question. Like,
Do you do that after every objection for the most part? Understand 100%?
Every objection.
Perfect.
Every objection. I'm like, hey, that's completely okay. But then I'll ask a question to get back in control. So then I'll say something like, hey, Paul, I completely understand you're not interested, but you filled it out. So you were interested. So did you become uninterested because, the pricing, you kind of got some pricing, it was kind of too much? Or did you apply for insurance and you got denied? And then they'll just say, yeah, some guys, they called me and they said it was X amount. I'll say, hey, that's exactly why I'm calling. My job is to get you all of the affordable options you originally inquired about, and then I'll
That's
kind of
good,
go
man.
that way. Yeah.
So to kind of give some framework to objection handling, which I think is a big deal, relate and then ask a question to get back in control. Mm-hmm. And so for anybody that's watching this, like a lot of times I'd forget what that next phrase was, right? If they said I'm not interested, I'd forget to ask, well, is it because you're not sure if you could, afford it, or because you weren't able to qualify for it? I would forget that, right? And what I realized is this. It doesn't matter. Whatever question you ask puts you back in control. Mm-hmm. Relating is a first step because it takes away the whole arm wrestling match where they're trying to go back and forth with them. There's no battle here. Like, I agree with you. That's the thing. So you've taken that away. But that's the framework. Relay and ask a question. I remember having a client give me an objection, and I forgot what to say afterwards. And no kidding, honest to God, it's a true story. He said, "Can I just get a quote?" And that was his question. So he was in control because he asked me a question, right? And I said, "Man, I'd love to give you a quote, and I see how that makes a lot of sense to get one. But what color is your car?" And the guy was like, "Blue? Why?" I said, "Got it. Well, listen, man, I'll be out there tomorrow. I got a 5 or 7, and I'm not lying. I booked the appointment, man."
That's crazy.
And what I realized is that, like, it's just being in control, you know, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Now, I would assume, Daniel, like listening to you when you call and listen to how you overcome objections, that you pretty much have ingrained in you, like, all the objection handling workbook and the phone scripts. Like, you've internalized those, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like it's been practiced, drilled, rehearsed. And I just want to encourage everybody to do that. Like, if you're not doing that late at night or early in the morning, I don't like that's going to help you. Those are the answers, right? It's like, you watch Wolf of Wall Street. I remember, and I can't remember what scene it was, but the guys, running around when they got those penny stocks. He's like, this is it, and he's got his objections. But if it works, why not have that down? Now, do you want to wait to get going to get it down? No. A lot of times you internalize it by doing it active, like you're in the game, so to speak, and that's how you kind of internalize it. But for a lot of you guys, man, if I were to say, "Hey, give me a quote," and I put you on the spot, what would you say? And would it be what the objection handling workbook says? And if it's not, I'm like, maybe it's a good idea to practice a little more, right? What are some other common objections you get, Daniel?
Like, I already took care of it. Maybe I already took care of it. Somebody already came out.
Okay. So Daniel, listen, man. We actually just had somebody come out. We're all good. We got it squared away, man.
Yeah, no worries. That's actually why I'm calling. I'm just the field underwriter. So my job is just to make sure that you're receiving all your incentives and benefits with the plan. Now, did you apply for this coverage last week or was it a few months back?
He came out like a week ago, and we went through it all. And we got something that's in the process, but we're not too sure what's going on with it.
Okay, that's perfect. I'm happy you got something. So my job, again, is just to get the information out to you here so you make sure that you have all your proper incentives and benefits with the plan. The reason they put us in place is to make sure that what you have is state regulated and that you were placed in the correct risk class. It happens more times you could think, Paul, where someone applied for something, they have something in the process like yourself, and then I get to the home and I find that they're in the wrong risk class. They're actually paying $40, $50 more than they should. So my job is to come by and just check it out. And if it is what it's supposed to be, then we leave it alone. If not, I'll fix it for you. Usually takes about 10, 15 minutes. And they got me right down the street tomorrow on Wednesday anyways. So I either have a 3 or I have a 5:30. What would work better for you?
Probably 3.
3? Okay, I'll stop by at 3. Is there any reason you wouldn't be home at 3? You'll definitely be home.
Yeah, we'll be home.
Okay, will the wife be there too?
Yeah.
Awesome. So let her know I'll be dropping by. What's her name? Because I don't want to be rude.
It's Natasha.
Natasha. Okay, so let Natasha know I'll stop by, review what you guys have. Do you have the paperwork and all that stuff?
I think so. We got some kind of folder that was left.
Okay, awesome. Can you grab that? Just make sure you have it ready so I get out of there quickly.
Cool. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, Paul, I'll see you tomorrow. Again, my name's Daniel. I'll see you at 5
I love that, man. Yeah. And the one thing I want to point out, Daniel, is like when you said like any reason why you wouldn't be there, you'll definitely be there. And it's just you're taking the posture of like, I'm in control. I'm going out of my way to help you and serve you. I'm going to go out there free of charge and compare what you have to see if I can save you money and give you a better plan of more value. Like, why would I not make sure you're definitely going to be there? I got a ton of people to call. I got a lot of families to see. And I think that's such a big deal of why they probably show up and why you book the appointment is because of just little things like that that really show them who you are, which is a high-level professional that's providing significant value to them that's going to far supersede the value you receive as far as a pay or check or whatever you get. It doesn't come close to the value they get. And I think I can see that when you're calling, your tonality, your pitch, your speed.
Yeah, I think that, when that objection happens, I think what's important is like some new agents might maybe bounce off that and say, hey, I might be able to get you a better deal. Let me check what I got. Let me see. And then they'll say, dude, I don't want it. I'll hang up. So I think it's just like that approach of, hey, that's fine. I'm actually happy you got it. My job's just to review what you have and make sure that it's, state regulated and that you're not in the wrong risk class. I think that comes across good with people. And then making them do something like make sure your policy's ready for me when I get there.
Yep.
And there's been a lot of times I got there, their policy was there, and it was easily to just kind of get them something better, So
that's so good, man. And I think about that, like that's a big point too. Like you might be just a small tweak away from getting appointments booked at a much higher level or higher percentage because of that. Like when they say, like you're right, Daniel, I've heard many agents say, well, I might be able to save you money. And then they just hang up. But because it's the wrong approach, it comes across like it's for me. Well, wait, let me see if I can still get a deal. Opposed to the other way, and it sounds similar, but it's vastly different. And that's the difference between you being the professional that's going out of their way to serve them and being the captive salesperson that's just trying to make a dollar. And the way you communicate, what you say, it changes the way they see you from one to the other. And if they see you as the professional, they book. If they see you as just some salesperson trying to get a paycheck for their own good, then they don't. Even if it does make sense, they still won't do it. You know?
We have such good carriers. There hasn't really been too many times I've walked in the house, somebody has something in place, and I'm like, wow, this is an amazing policy. You know what I mean? Normally, we're going to have something that's going to beat what they got, and we have that confidence on the phone that we just need to get in front of them. We don't need to do anything over the phone. Like, we can give you a better rate. We just need to get in front of these people because most likely they're not going to have something as good as what we can get them.
Yeah,
so,
okay. And that's a beautiful position to know that you're in. When you go in, you can have that confidence.
Yeah, absolutely.
That I could reposition, and it's a lot easier to get somebody to, take what they're already spending and put it somewhere of reposition where it's more valuable than to try to get them to come up with a whole new expense in their budget. And that's why I've always loved some clients that had it because I knew that we could probably provide more value, and they already understood how valuable it was because they had it.
Absolutely.
Let's do this. I'm gonna hit you with a couple more. So you call, intro the script, and I say, Danny, listen, man, right now is not a good time, dude. I'm busy. I'm running out of the house. You gotta call me later.
Yeah, no worries, Paul. I'll have you off the phone in 30 seconds. The purpose of the call really was just to verify some information we had here. I had your date of birth is 4/30/1942. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Got it. And the delivery address I have down for you is 16082 North Trail Road.
Yeah.
Okay, so my job's simple, Paul. Like I said, I'll have you off the phone quick. I just have to come out, bring the information, go over the different programs with you and the wife. Usually takes about 10-15 minutes. They just want me to verify that, you and the wife still walking around. You guys aren't in a wheelchair. You guys don't weigh like 1,000 pounds.
Okay.
That's not you, is it?
No.
Got it. So real quick, then I'll be at your area tomorrow and Wednesday. I have either the afternoon or the evening. I have a 3 o'clock or I have a 5:30. Would work better.
Dude, you can't just send this to me in the mail?
Yeah, man, I wish I could send it. The last thing I want to do is even drive out there, but my job is to get it to you since you requested it in order to verify that, first of all, like I said, you are who you are, and that you're still walking around. You and the wife could still do a few jumping jacks. Okay, it won't take long, I promise. But I have the 3 or the 5:30 tomorrow. Which one would work better?
3:30.
The 3:30. Okay, I got you down for 3:30. Can you grab a pen and paper real quick so I can give you my information?
And then go right into it.
And I go right into it.
Perfect. I love that. Now let's just say that you're trying to book me this week, right? You're giving me a time. Daniel, listen, man, this week didn't work. Could you call me back in like maybe the next 2-3 weeks?
Okay, say that again.
So yeah, my schedule's booked. Like, you're trying to schedule me, and I'm like, man, this week's really booked, Daniel, but why don't you call me back in maybe 2-3 weeks, and we kind of go from there because it's just busy this week.
No worries, Paul. I'm running behind here at the office as well, so we're really jammed. So I can't even really make a 100% promise that I can get out to you this week. But what I can go ahead and do to best accommodate you is, are you usually home in the afternoons or evenings? What are you?
Yeah, I mean, usually in the evenings, like after 5.
So let's do this, Paul, just to make sure you get the information. We close this out. It won't take longer than 10-15 minutes. Let me go ahead and put you in between appointments tomorrow. I can put you in between appointments around 5:45 to 6:15. We'll just kind of get this out of the way. Just make sure you're there, and then we'll take care of this. Should you be there by that time? Would that be a good time?
Yeah,
just swing it by. Okay,
yeah.
Cool. So I'll see you tomorrow. So usually how I go about it, just kind of like, it's more of like a quick set approach.
Yeah.
But just let them know it's going to be quick. I'm coming out. I'm running behind as well. I think being busy, relating to them again, going back to relating to them, dude. If you're busy, I'm busy. You know what I mean?
That's so good.
If you're in a hurry, I'm in a hurry.
Yeah.
So,
and I think it's like if you're not booking a lot of appointments, typically it's because there's not enough value there, or there's not enough urgency. So I think like if it's valuable and it's urgent, that translates into a booked appointment. But if it's not, it's not. Meaning that if they push it off like next week, that means it probably just lacks urgency and value. So like what you just did in that objection handling, and I just want everybody to catch this, is like you brought more value to it and you made it more urgent, and you related to them. It's the same thing. We go back to step 1. You related to them, and then you went to asking questions, and that's perfect. So if anybody's like, if they see, a lot of times an objection, it just gives you clues to where you're at as far as your value building and your ability to articulate and get them to feel the sense of urgency with it. And when they do that, you came back and it was perfect. It's like, man, listen, I understand being busy. You know, my schedule, they got me managing multiple different counties because we're behind on all the families that are coming in, and not enough field underwriters like myself. But listen, I'll put down some notes to best accommodate. This is exactly how you did it. You just related to them. And then you just play along with them, right? Like you go along, like, are you usually home after 5? You know, and then I said, yes. Okay, great. Well, listen, I don't have a 5, but I think I could squeeze you between appointments. And guys, that there too is a big deal, because if you say between appointments, it builds urgency, because it's like, man, he's got so many appointments. Everybody wants to do what everybody else is doing, right? So a lot of times our herd concept is it's that urgency, right? A fear of missing out. And so now you got so many appointments, you're going to put them between appointments. You already related, and the way you related was I managed in multiple different counties, so you related to the busyness, but then elevated the busyness indirectly, not the same. So all that stuff is the psychology behind it, you know? And then you go back to it and say, listen, I don't have anything tomorrow, but listen, I'll go ahead and try to move my 6:30 and earlier and put you at that time. If it doesn't work, I'll call you back. All those things is urgency and value. And it's fun when you do it that way, because you're in the right posture. Desperation sucks. You know, were you ever like dialing the phones and kind of like were desperate for appointments?
Yeah. I think it was when I didn't have enough leads, though. I think when I had like a tiny little stack of leads, it's like, oh man, I got these. I got to make sure I get appointments. So I think I came off the phone very desperate. Even when they're like, oh, hey, can you call me back next week? I'm like, well, hey, it's just gonna be real quick. And I was just in a very like trying to lock them down, just because I knew I needed the appointments, and I didn't have enough leads. So just have enough leads, I think that goes away when you have a ton of leads and you're like, oh shoot, I got all these leads. I don't think you're worried about it.
That's good. So if somebody's feeling desperate right now, and they're like, I want to feel like I got the upper hand, maybe it's just give yourself more shots. Yeah,
just get more leads, because then you have more dials. So even if you get objections or you get hang-ups, stuff happens on the phone, you're not gonna be affected by it to where you come off desperate on the next call.
Yeah, because no big deal. I got another person to call.
It's no big deal. You got a ton of leads to call. You're trying to get through the leads. So I think that really helped me a lot.
I love that. That's great. So get more shots, and then sit back and understand your value you bring is a big deal. Any last like minute comments you want to kind of go through as we wrap up this segment on phone script and what have you? Anything that you got that you think would bring some value?
Yeah, I mean, I would think that, for anyone listening that's new agents, I think that, just stay on it. Don't give up too quickly. It's gonna get rough sometimes, but the leads, the people did fill out the lead, and like we talked about in the beginning, have your mind where it needs to be, where these people are just deflecting stuff. So as long as we relate and ask the right questions, we're gonna be able to get in front of the people and help them out, and the people are gonna thank you for it. I mean, I can't count how many times I've had a lead and I remembered the lead that I called, and she hung up on me, and I called her back and said, hey, I think we got disconnected. And I took it back to booking the appointment, where I sat in front of her, protected her, and she was in tears and gave me a hug. So you just don't know, you don't know like what family you're going to sit with. You don't know how bad they need it. So you just got to have that, mind where you need it, and just know that we're out there to serve these families and protect them. So that's awesome, man. Yeah, that great tip. Yeah. So it's like the ones that sometimes, give the most resistance. Those are the ones that become your clients for life, and absolutely. And then that's just the way it is with anything. When you go the extra mile and kind of like do that next step that's uncomfortable, because it kind of sucks. They hung up on you. They just hung up on you. Like, we don't want to talk, which is like a form of rejection. Like, I'm trying to call you. You freaking hung up on me, And you call back like, hey, hey, we got disconnected. But listen, real quick, I'm not a telemarketer. I'm not a solicitor. I'd rather not be calling you. The only reason I'm calling you, you go back, take control, and book it. And it's like, that's the one where, they desperately needed you, That's the one that they're paying way too much. Somebody took advantage of. That's the one that really needs it, but got declined too many times. That's the one that, it might pass away in a month, and it's like you just need to press a little further. I mean, that's so good and so true, man. I've seen it so many times in the last 14 years. So I appreciate you, man. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for having me on. That was great stuff, guys. Hey, make sure to listen to this over and over again. One of the things I think does help is finding like a segment of a podcast, and we had that in here where you could hear the role play. And when I was eating lunch or whatever between my dials, I would listen to that over and over again, because again, it helped me get back on track and focus and put my mind in the zone. We're not like football players where we get in a huddle and start whacking each other at home like, let's go. And you compartmentalize. This is a little different. This is something where you got to sit back and not think of yourself and take your eyes off yourself long enough to put them on the client. And sometimes listening to this stuff between, dialing and while eating a lunch or whatever will help kind of put your mind in the right frame as you move forward. So guys, make it a big week. Be strong.
Stay steadfast. We'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.